Abolition was the great moral issue of the day. It was a movement in which women participated despite and because of their domestic roles. To work in the abolition movement, after all, would require them to leave their households and engage in seemingly unwomanly behavior, the behavior of persuading neighbors, perhaps knocking on doors, and soliciting signatures for petitions. All this patently violated injunctions to domesticity. Yet there were arguments on the other side too. Slavery, after all, was morally repugnant, denying even a soul to other human beings. It made marriages impossible, destroyed families, removed children from mothers, and licensed sexual misconduct. Joined together by a common commitment to motherhood, women in large numbers did not hesitate to let their voices be heard. This token, issued by the American Women's Anti-Slavery Society, captures the appeal to motherhood. Here we see an African-American woman kneeling and asking, "Am I not a woman and a sister?" The appeal resonated with thousands of women determined to preserve the special status of women and mothers. Among the women who made the transition from what we might call moral virtue to moral reform were the Grimke sisters of South Carolina, Angelina and Sarah. Recruited by the American Anti-Slavery Society after they left their South Carolina slave-holding family, they engaged at first with Quaker friends in the campaign against slavery. As recruits in the abolition campaign, the Grimke sisters at first spoke in private homes and to women only. Soon, however, they began to use unladylike methods to achieve their goals. They were popular speakers eager to attract large audiences, so they began to address audiences in churches and public halls. These audiences were sometimes mixed. They testified in front of state legislators, and they wrote public letters and tracts under their own names. Finally, they committed what turned out to be the cardinal sin. In 1837, when Angelina Grimke got up on a platform and melded women's rights with the rights of enslaved peoples, criticism came from all quarters, including the organized Congregational Church. The Grimke sisters were stunned. They asked, how could they fight against slavery when they were themselves constrained as women? After all, if they were fighting for the freedom of the slaves, surely they should themselves be free to do so. Powerless to do much about it as long as they were subservient, neither the Grimke sisters nor the women they attracted realized that they were launching the women's rights movement. And that movement would ultimately result in loosening the bonds of domesticity. Angelina especially was quite forceful on the rights of women, arguing that the discussion of the rights of the slave had opened the way for the discussion of other rights. In her words, the ultimate result would be, most certainly, the breaking of every yoke, letting the oppressed of every grade and description go free, an emancipation more glorious than the world has ever seen. Abolitionist women rallied to the defense of the Grimke sisters. They included Abby Kelly Foster, raised among Quakers and anxious both to free enslaved peoples and to free women; Charlotte Fortin Grimke, no relation to the Grimke sisters. She was a descendant of a prominent African-American Philadelphia family, and she joined the cause. She insisted that there could be no freedom for slaves unless women were free. Then there was Lucy Stone, who began her life as an abolitionist and then turned full throttle to protecting the lives of women. Race and gender, in her view, could not be segregated from each other. These women and many others managed to exercise political voice. Beginning in the late 1830s, the petition campaign of women led to door-to-door visits with neighbors and living room gatherings where women were asked to sign petitions to Congress, begging them to end slavery. Hundreds of these petitions are now located in our national archives. They testify to the eagerness with which women sought an end to the evil of slavery.